Good day, everyone. So for our lesson today, we will talk about the topics on using fractions, decimals, percentages, ratios, and rates. Now for the objectives of today's lesson, we are going to find the GCF and LCM of two given numbers, simplify fractions and mixed numbers to their lowest terms, express rational numbers from fraction form to decimal form and vice versa, add, subtract, multiply, and divide rational numbers, and determine the percentage, rate, and base in a given problem. Let us have a review. What is the GCF of the following set of numbers? Number 1, 12 and 26. What do you think? Right. The GCF is 2. Next, 30 and 40. That is 10. How about 16, 4, and 8? The GCF is 4. Now, let us first take your pretest. So, get your answer sheets and write your answer on that paper. And if you needed to pause this video, you may pause this video to answer the questions. Are you ready? Let's start. What is the greatest common factor of 15, 45, and 60? Letter A, 1. Letter B, 5. Letter C, 15. Letter D, 20. Next, the lowest term of 15 over 35 is blank. Letter A, 1 over 2. Letter B, 2 over 5. Letter C, 3 over 7. And letter D, 10 over 27. What is the product of 4.25 and 0.53? Letter A, 0.22525. Letter B, 2.2525. Letter C, 22.525. And letter D, 225.25. If $1 is equal to 50 pesos, how much is 8 pesos? $8 in peso. Letter A, 200 pesos. Letter B, 400 pesos. Letter C, 600 pesos. And letter D, 800 pesos. Which is equal to 0.25 when expressed as a fraction in lowest term? Letter A, 1/2. Letter B, 1/4. Letter C, 2/5. And letter D, 1 over 25. Great! Did you do well in answering the test? Now check your answer in the pretest. The answer for number 1 and number 2 is letter C. And the answer for number 3, 4, and 5 is letter B. Now let us listen and watch the GCF and LCM song.
Well, math is fun, but sometimes it's confusing with all the acronyms my teacher is using. I get so lost in class. I turn to my friends and laugh, laugh, laugh. My teacher keeps on talking and I don't understand her. She speaks a different language I don't comprehend. I reckon I should pay attention to what we are learning. The LCM just stands for the least common multiple of the two or more numbers. Open up your books, write what you see. First write the 4 and then the 3. Just keep count and write them all down. Multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, and 16. Go on more, you get 20. Then 3's 3, 6, 9, and 12. You should see it repeats. Well, the LCM just stands for the least common multiple of the two or more numbers. The LCM just stands for the least common multiple of the two or more numbers. I've been spending way too long talking about multiples. In fact, the LCM is barely even half full. You may say, what is left? The letters GCF. Again, you need two numbers, but instead you factor them both to see if there's a number they both are made of. And if that number exists, you found the GCF. Well, the GCF just stands for the greatest common factor of the two or more numbers. So please don't, please don't, please don't. There's no need to sit and wait, 'cause I've got this now. This or this or this or sounds great, I'm sure.
Okay, now let us answer the following questions. Question number 1. What do LCM and LCD stands for? LCM stands for the least common multiple. As stated on the video, kukunin mo na yung multiples ng dalawang numbers and then you are going to get the least, yung pinakamababang common multiple. And for LCD naman, kinukuha muna natin yung LCM para makuha yung LCD, or LCD is the least common denominator. Yung pinakamababang common denominator. How about GCF? GCF stands for greatest common factor, o yung pinakamataas na common na factors ng 2 or more numbers. Next question, where do we use those concepts in answering math problems? So we are using this in the operations of rational numbers and even whole numbers. Let us talk about finding the greatest common factor, or GCF. So, you can use prime factorization to find the GCF of a set of numbers. So, maaari natin gamitin ang prime factorization sa pagkuha ng GCF ng set of numbers. It often works better for larger numbers. Here's how to find the GCF of the set of numbers using prime factorization. First is list the prime factors of each numbers. Next is circle every common prime factors, that is every prime factors that's a factor of every number in the set, and then multiply all the circled numbers. The result is the GCF. So, una muna natin gagawin ay kukunin muna natin yung prime factor ng bawat number at bibilugan natin yung common prime factor sa kanila, and then yung common prime factor ay imumultiply natin at ang resulta ay yung GCF. For example, we are going to find the GCF of 28, 42, and 70. So first is find the prime factor of 28, 42, and 70. So the prime factor of 28 is 2 times 2 times 7, because when we multiply 2 times 2 and 7, that is 28. The same as 42, which are 2 times 3 times 7, and also 70, which are 2 times 5 times 7. Next step is we are going to circle the common factor. So the common factors are 2. Lahat nung prime factor ng 28, 42, at 7 ay may 2 at meron din silang 7. And then after that, we are going to bring down the common factors which are 2 and 7. So 2 times 7 is equal to 14. Therefore, the GCF is 14. Okay? Next is finding the least common denominator, or LCD. The LCD of two fractions is the LCM of their denominators. To find the LCD of two fractions, we just use the process in finding the LCM of two numbers, and we only use the denominators, not the numerators of the fractions when finding the LCD. So, ang ginagawa natin pag kinukuha natin ang LCD, kinukuha din natin yung LCM ng mga denominators nila. At yung denominators lang ang ating gagamitin. The first step is we are going to factor each denominator into its prime. Next is list the primes matching primes in columns where possible. Bring down the columns and multiply the factors, and the product is the LCD. So, ang pagkuha ng LCD ay parang kumukuha lang din tayo ng LCM. Kinukuha muna natin ang prime factors ng bawat number or denominator, and then we are going to list the prime by column, bring down the columns, and we are just going to multiply the factors, and the product is the LCD. For example, find the LCD of the fractions 7 over 12 and 5 over 8. Now, for this, the denominators are 12 and 8. So, kukunin natin yung LCM or ipa-prime factor muna natin yung factors ng 12 at 18. So, the prime factors of 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. And the prime factors of 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. So, kung mapapansin natin, ang ating mga numbers or prime factors ay magkakatapat according to kung ano yung common sa kanila. So, magkatapat yung common na 2 at magkatapat yung common na 3. Itong factors na 2 at 3, hindi sila magkatapat sa isang column kasi hindi sila magkapareho. So, the next step is we are just going to bring down those factors. So, yung 2 bring down, 2 bring down, 3 bring down, and 3 bring down. So, ang pinagkaiba nito sa pagkuha ng GCF, ang binibring down lang natin ay yung mag-common. Common yung 2 at 3. Pero, kapag kinukuha natin ang LCM or LCM, lahat ay binibring down natin. So, pag na-bring down na natin lahat ng nasa column, 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, that is equal to 36. And the LCD is 36. Okay? Next is simplifying fractions. Now, simplifying fractions or reducing fractions means to make the fraction as simple as possible. One of the method in simplifying fractions is dividing the top and the bottom of the fraction by the GCF. So, para ma-simplify natin ang fractions, kukunin muna natin yung GCF ng numerator at denominator and then i-divide natin yung numerator at denominator sa same GCF. Now, for example, we are going to simplify or reduce the fraction 8 over 12. Now, the GCF of 8 and 12 is 4 because it is the largest number that goes exactly into both 8 and 12. Or pag ginamit natin yung process or steps kanina, 8 and 12, the prime factors of 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, and the prime factors of 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. Now, when we bring down the common factor, which are 2 and 2, 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So, the GCF is 4. Now, we are going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 4, or divide the top and the bottom by 4. That is 8 divided by 4 and 12 divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2 and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Therefore, the lowest term or the simplified fraction of 8 over 12 is 2 over 3. Next, express decimals to fractions. To express a decimal to a fraction, we must follow these steps. First is write down the decimal divided by 1. That is the decimal over 1. Number 2 is multiply both top and bottom by 10 for every number after the decimal point to make the numerator a whole number. After that, imumultiply lang natin sa 10 by 10 yung numerator until maging whole number yung ating nasa numerator. At the same time, imumultiply din natin yung denominator na 1 sa 10. Kung ilan yung multiply natin sa numerator, ganun din yung multiply natin sa denominator. And then the third one is we are going to reduce or simplify the fraction. Let us have an example. For example, we are going to convert 0.75 into fraction. Now, first is we are going to divide the decimal by 1, then multiply both numerator and denominator by 100. So that is 0.75 over 1. And then, upang maging whole number yung 0.75, kailangan nating i-multiply siya sa 100. Kasi pag multiply natin siya sa 100, magiging 75 siya. So, 0.75 times 100 is 75. And yung denominator, i-multiply lang natin sa 100. That is 1 times 100, 100. And then, pwede pa natin kunin ang simplified fraction niya. To simplify, get the GCF of 75 and 100, which is 25. So, 75 divided by 25 is 3. And 100 divided by 25 is 4. Therefore, the fraction form of 0.75 is 3 over 4. Okay? Next, operations on decimals. We are going to add and subtract decimals. Now, to add and subtract decimals, as you are going to add and subtract decimals as you would do in whole numbers. But remember to align the decimal point in the sum or difference with the decimal points in the numbers you are adding or subtracting. So, pag nag-add tayo and subtract ng decimals, para lang tayong nag-add and subtract ng whole number. But this time, kailangan nating i-align ang decimal point ng isang decimal sa another decimal. Kailangan magkakatapat sila. For example, we are going to add 3.75 and 1.49. So, kailangan magkatapat ang decimal point nila. Nandito. So, ang gagawin lang natin, we are just going to add them katulad ng pag-a-add ng whole numbers. So, that is 524. But this time, meron tayong decimal. So, ilalagay lang natin yung decimal katapat ng decimal doon sa given natin. Okay, next, for the subtracting, we are going to subtract 10 minus 5.24. So, dito, nagdagdag tayo ng dalawang 0 sa pag-subtract natin. So, 10 minus 5.24 is 4.76. And, ilalagay natin yung decimal point sa katapat ng given na decimal point. Okay? Next is the multiplication of decimals. Now, multiply decimals as you would with whole numbers. When multiplication is complete, place the decimal point in the product. To place the decimal point, find the total number of digits to the right of the decimal points in the factors. Kapag nagmumultiply tayo ng decimals, ganun din ang pagmumultiply natin katulad ng whole numbers. But, after nating mamultiply ang decimal numbers, bibilangin natin kung ilang decimal places yung nasa given natin at saka natin ilalagay, i-add natin yung dalawang decimal places tapos ilalagay natin yung decimal places dun sa product natin. For example, we are going to multiply 8.4 times 2.5. We are just going to multiply them. So, 4 times 5 is 0. 5 times 8 is 40. Plus 2 is 420. Next is 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. So, wala itong 0. Nag-move tayo ng isa pag nag-multiply. And then, we are just going to add them. That is 21.00. So, dito, sa una natin, meron tayong isang decimal place. Meron din tayong isang decimal place. So, kailangan dalawang decimal place yung ating answer. And that is 21. Okay, next. To divide a decimal by whole number, place the decimal points in the quotient directly above the decimal point in the dividend. Then divide as you would with whole number. So, kailangan lang nating i-place yung decimal points into the quotient, dun sa sagot, directly above the decimal point. For example, we are going to divide 5.1 by 6. So, that is 5.1 divided by 6. Kailangan na natin isulat yung decimal point sa tapat na nasa taas sa quotient. So, 5 divided 6 is 0 kasi mas mababa yung 5 sa 6. 6 times 0 is 0. And then, 5 minus 0 is 5. Bring down 1. Okay? Divide natin again. 51 divided by 6 is 8. 6 times 8 is 48. 51 minus 48 is 3. And then, if meron pa siyang remainder, maglalagay tayo ng 0 dito and then bring down 0. 30 divided 6 is 5. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 minus 30 is 0. So, the answer is 0.85. Okay, next. To divide by a decimal, you must first write an equivalent expression with a whole number divisor. So, kailangan yung ating divisor ay whole number. Para maging whole number, we have to multiply both the dividend and divisor by a power of 10 that will make the divisor a whole number. So, kailangan yung ating divisor ay maging whole number para ma-divide natin siya. So, first example, we are going to divide 52.50 by 3.5. So, ang ating divisor ay 3.5 at kailangan natin siyang gawing whole number. So, para maging whole number ang 3.5, magta-times tayo ng 10. Pag nag-times tayo ng 10 sa divisor, magta-times din tayo ng 10 sa dividend. So, that will be 525 divided by 35. Kasi nag-move tayo ng isa dito, nag-move din tayo ng isa dito. So, 35, ito naman ay 525 kasi yung 0, wala na siya. Okay? So, we are going to divide 525 divided by 35. So, 525 divided by 35. Okay? So, 5 divided by 35 cannot be. 52 divided by 35 is 1. 35 times 1 is 35. 52 minus 35 is 17. Bring down 5. 175 divided by 35 is 5. 35 times 5 is 175. 175 minus 175 is 0. Therefore, the answer is 15. Okay? Now, let us go to the independent activity. Write your answer on the provided answer sheet. So, dito, nasa inyong answer sheet yung inyong mga given, and then you are going to write your answer. So, we are going to solve the following. 12.87 plus 3.5, 12.3 minus 5.08, 32 times 1.84, and 1.062 divided by 3. And then, for letter B, you are going to express 0.85 as a fraction in its lowest term. For letter C, you are going to find the LCD of 3 over 140 and 5 over 70. And for letter D, you are going to find the GCF of 16, 24, and 48. Okay? You may pause this video while you are answering on your answer sheet. Next, to deepen your understanding of the lesson, here is an activity to do. So you are going to answer this word problem by applying the concept that we just learned a while ago. Mr. Armstrong divided 5.1 liters of water equally among 6 jars for a science experiment. How much water did Mr. Armstrong put in each jar? Write your answer on your answer sheets. To process your understanding of the lesson, you are going to answer the following questions. Number 1, on your answer sheets, how do you find the GCF of a set of numbers? Number 2, how do you find the LCD of 2 or more fractions? Number 3, what does simplifying fractions mean? Number 4, what is the first step in expressing decimals to fractions? And number 5, how do we add or subtract decimals? Next, for your assessment, you are going to answer again, write your answer again on your answer sheet provided. Okay? And then for the reflection, the learners in the answer sheet will write their personal insights about the lesson using the prompts below. Just complete the sentence, I understand that and I realize that. And that is the end of our lesson. Good luck in answering the answer sheets.